Alrighty, welcome back into another edition of Getting Technical, brought to you by Better and Green. I am Ethan. With me, as always, is Wyatt. Kind of a special edition of Getting Technical. We come to you on Wednesday. Have not had, I don't believe, any Wednesday episodes as of late. Usually we're just Tuesdays and then do the lives on Saturdays. However, we have a pretty nice slate of games going on Wednesday night. So figured we get a quick episode in. Wyatt, I know we're filming before our games wrapped up from the Tuesday episode. We're not looking great at the moment, but I still feel confident with our plays. How you doing today? How have your other bets gone that have settled? And what do you think about this Wednesday night slate of college basketball?
Yeah, started the day off today, Tuesday 2-0, so a good start. Again, the three games we talked about on yesterday's episode are live right now as we're filming this. Creighton is up pretty big on UConn. Should have just stuck to the home teams. I don't know. I thought UConn was maybe a different kind of team that could defy our system plays, but that's still a lot of game to be played in there. And then again, Baylor, BYU are currently live. San Diego State, Utah State are live right now. So yeah, interested to see how those go. And then to tonight's slate that we're about to talk about. Don't feel as good as I did about yesterday's episode. I really like one of them. I might get on it again quickly. Right after we get off here. I did take two bets last night that kind of the games we talked about right when we got off. I usually don't bet the night before, and I was on the right side of a closing line value today. So I felt really good about that. Might try to do it again today. Yeah, just fair warning. Don't feel quite as confident today, but there's one play I really like. The other two are definitely hard leans, soft leans maybe.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it either. Like you said, got ahead of the line moves on some of the games going on Tuesday. Got ahead of BYU, got ahead of Utah State. If it's anything like UCLA on Sunday, it probably spells trouble, but we'll see how the games play out here. We'll get right into it. We have one ranked matchup we're talking about, the only ranked matchup on the board, and then a couple of other decent matchups here. We're going to start off with a 7 p.m. Eastern tip, SEC battle, 24th ranked Florida at 13th ranked Alabama. I'm seeing Alabama as an 8-point home favorite here. Over under, this is not the NBA. This is college basketball. Over under 174. I don't know if I've seen a total in college basketball any higher than 174, to be honest with you. I'm going to throw it to you first. I don't love this game. How are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, this one's actually, I think, my favorite game. Obviously, Alabama, the reason for that 174, 75, whatever that total is at, is Alabama is one of the highest scoring teams right now in the country. I don't know how many times they've scored over 100 points. I know they have their last two games. They are probably I think they're the number one offense in KenPom's ranking on efficiency. This team can score like no other. And then Florida is the definition of the most two-faced team I've ever seen in my life. The way they play at home, then the way they play on the road, completely different. It's not even close to the same team. The fact that they're number 24, I honestly didn't really look too much into their past. I know they've won 3 games in a row. They beat Georgia, LSU, Auburn, 3 really solid wins. I think a majority of those were at home. I think 2 of those were at home. They really struggle on the road, just like any other team does, but they really, really struggle on the road. And then Alabama has no problem scoring. I'm going to go with Alabama here on the spread at home. I think Bama is, it's going to be a track race. Like the total is telling you it's going to be a track race with 170 plus points. But I think Alabama's going to get into the hundreds, and I just don't think Florida can keep up. Maybe Alabama high 90s. I just don't think Florida can do that on the road in a hostile environment against a number 13 team. This isn't of a joke. And Florida's offense is good, but again, at home they're good. They really struggle on the road. Bama is going to come in firing. Bama does have Kentucky on deck. At this point in the season for Bama, I just don't think there's really any look-ahead spot because they really need to get all the wins they can. Even though they are 13th, they have struggled a little bit at times. They've been in and out of the rankings this year. So I think a win today, a win over Florida, and then going into Kentucky with some momentum. I think Bama really wants this game. So I think Bama's going to walk away with it. I'm going to take Bama, and instead of taking the total, I'm just going to take Bama's team total going over because, again, I think this is going to be all Bama. They have no problem scoring 100 points. Their team total is probably somewhere in the 90s. I'm still going to take that over, but I think Bama walks away with this one.
Yeah, I'll start by saying I just don't love this game whatsoever. You mentioned Florida's road woes here. I know this wasn't a true road game, but you're all too familiar with Michigan. Michigan took them to double OT on a neutral site. So if that tells you anything about how Florida plays outside of their home arena, it's not great. However, I'm going to lean Florida, and it's the slightest of leans. I mean, it's 51% Florida, 49% Bama. So I would not really go make a play on my suggestion on this game. Kind of a weird scheduling spot here, or just a weird schedule in general for Florida. They have Bama, Vanderbilt, Missouri, South Carolina, Bama, Vanderbilt again. So their next two games, they have not played either yet. They play them each twice in their last six games. So just kind of a weird schedule. Um, but I just think Florida could use the ranked victory at this time more than Bama. Like you said, Bama has Kentucky on deck. And I don't know if there's a full look ahead spot. Obviously, Florida is ranked 24th, so I think they're going to be focused. But I mean, I feel like there's just a few teams in college basketball that you circle no matter what. Kentucky's one of them. Duke, North Carolina, UConn. Honestly, not to be biased, I feel like Michigan State is kind of a circled team in the Big Ten. Maybe Villanova with the success they've had recently. I just feel like some of those teams that are your typical blue bloods, then the teams that are maybe not quite blue bloods, but right there. I just feel like they get circled at the beginning of the year. It's a game these teams want. Obviously, Bama's been a good team for the last 3 years or so, but I mean, Kentucky's still just a good win on your schedule if you can get it. So if there is any look ahead spot, it would come from the Bama side. I am nervous. I'm seeing 96% of the money on Florida right now. Obviously, it's the night before. So I can't take that too much into account. There's probably 5-10% of the total tickets bet on this game as of now. It's all going to flood in tomorrow. So a slight lean on Florida +8 just because of Bama having Kentucky on deck. But at this point, I'm not going to be playing this game. Do you kind of like the under 174? I think Florida can contain Alabama. They're not going to shut them down by any means. But, if they keep Bama down to 80, Florida can cover the spread, lose the game, keep the score under. So I would lean under, lean Florida, but don't love this game.
Yeah, I'm just excited to watch it. See if the total actually even comes close, because that is, I don't know the exact stat like you said, but it has to be one of the higher ones in college basketball history.
Yeah. A 2 minute scoring, scoreless stretch. The under is looking real good in that one.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Next game should be maybe a little bit more competitive here. Speaking of the Blue Bloods, ACC matchup, 8th ranked Duke at unranked Miami. Miami is a 5.5 point home dog at this point. Over under right around 150. I'm gonna trust Miami to cover the 5.5 at home. Again, I don't really love this game. Duke with 4 straight wins here. They've not played Miami this year. It's their single game against Miami. Wake Forest on deck, a team they just beat like a week ago. So there's no look ahead spot. Duke should come into this one focused. My reason to play Miami, they've lost 4 in a row. They were 15-7 before dropping those 4. I just think it's a must win at this point. They really need this one. Then they have Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Boston College, Florida State. Should be able to squeak 3 wins out of those final 5 games. And I think they'll need one against Duke or North Carolina. North Carolina's a road game. Duke is at home. I think it's their best opportunity to pick up kind of that tournament clinching win, if you will. And yeah, just off the 4 losses, just think Miami needs it more. Think Duke maybe might be a little bit comfortable in this one. So I think 5.5 is just too many points. Duke might find a way to win this one late. But yeah, I'll take the home team laying with taking 5.5 points.
Yeah, I don't love this one, but I'm on the same side. I'm taking Miami plus 5.5. This Miami team was ranked preseason. I believe they were top 15-ish, maybe even top 10. Kind of collapsed. I mean, they're 15-11. They've definitely had their struggles. They definitely have the roster though to make a tournament run if they can just figure out the X's and O's. And kind of like you said, Duke's on a 4-game win streak. They have beaten really no one. Florida State, a decent Wake Forest team, Boston College, and Notre Dame. I think 3 of those were at home as well. So this, again, 4 wins in a row. That's great. But a tough road test at Miami, I think, is something that they might overlook, like you said. And Miami, again, they're like Arkansas. They have the roster to be a very good team. They just haven't done it this year. Kind of like Texas as well. So I just think it's too many points for a home team that has the dudes to compete with just about anyone. So 5.5 is too much. I think Duke is a little bit on their high horse with 4 wins in a row against 4 very mediocre teams. So like Miami plus the points. Again, wouldn't be surprised if Duke wins it, but I think it's gonna be close. So I'll take 5.5 at the home dog.
Yeah, I feel like that game is similar. We talked a little bit before the show. Iowa, Michigan State. Obviously, my Spartans fell tonight. Um, I feel like Miami's a little bit like Iowa, where you can just never. They're so good from three. If they're shooting lights out, it's hard to just count them out. So yeah, I feel like getting 5.5 at home. I mean, if they're shooting well, they can easily win that game outright. So glad we're on the same page on that one. We're gonna round it up here with a Mountain West matchup. You and I have been dabbling quite a bit in the Mountain West. It's been treating us pretty well here, so we're going to keep going with it. 22nd ranked Colorado State as they've climbed back into the rankings as of today at unranked New Mexico. New Mexico 5.5 point favorite, over under 155.5. I'm going to throw it to you first. I do like this game. It's probably my favorite of the night, but I want to see what you're feeling before I take it away.
Yeah, I don't love this one. It goes against my system, but I'm going to lean with Colorado State at the plus 5.5 here. I know they're number 22. I know it might be a little too obvious to take just the ranked team 5.5 points as an underdog. That seems like a lot. And New Mexico would fit in our strategy, but I think you are more in tune with this than I am. Like once you start getting into the 4.5, 5s for that system, it kind of goes past our system. If this was now New Mexico, maybe like -2, I would have loved New Mexico. It's weird, but that kind of makes sense. That's kind of how I think that the game's going to go. But yeah, I think it's going to be too much. Colorado State's going to be a little too much for New Mexico. I do think Colorado State's ultimately the better team. The question is, can they do it on the road? New Mexico just lost to San Diego State. Again, very good team. Colorado State just beat Utah State. Again, very good team. These are, all the 4 teams I just mentioned are the top 4 in the Mountain West. But I'm going to lean just with the points. It's a little too much for me to feel comfortable taking with New Mexico. So I'm going to lean on it. Again, this is a very soft lean. I don't know if I'm going to get involved on this, but it just seems like a little too many points. And I just don't know if New Mexico can cover against a very sound Colorado State team.
Yeah, we'll disagree to close out the show. I like New Mexico quite a bit here. And like you mentioned, it's kind of outside our system once you start getting up over the 4-point range, I'd say 3.5, 4. Kind of gets outside the system, but for whatever reason, the Mountain West has been clicking when it's about 5.5, 6. Third game now in the last week where I've absolutely loved it, taking the home team unranked, minus, like I said, that 5.5, 6 points. Actually took Colorado State on Saturday against Utah State. That was one of my favorite plays. Took San Diego State, I believe, on Friday against I forgot who they played, but 2 games that easily cashed the home favorite of about 6 points. So I'm just rolling with it. I like New Mexico State here. Colorado State off that revenge win against Utah State. They killed them, beat them by 20 points. So I think they could come into this one just a little bit overconfident. They already beat New Mexico, so I think they feel like they can beat them again. They have UNLV on deck, another game in which they already won in their previous matchup. However, it is another road game, so 2 travel spots here for Colorado State. New Mexico, off the loss to San Diego State, have Air Force on deck, a team they already beat. Like I said, they lost to Colorado State. We talked about it on Tuesday's show. When you get that little number by your name, you're kind of the hunted. New Mexico wants the win just because it's against a ranked opponent. And like I said, I love the Mountain West laying 5.5, 6 points at home. It's been a moneymaker for me this year. I'm just going to keep riding it. So absolutely love New Mexico. Probably going to bet it as soon as we hop off here.
Yeah, I did forget about the Mountain West and their 4 to 6 range. I know I hit like 2 back-to-back San Diego State bets when they were at -5.5, 6-ish. So I did forget about that. So again, I don't have a great lean on that game, but it'll be very fun to watch. The one thing I will say before we close out here, if you look at these teams' upcoming schedule, not just these 2 teams, but just every team, there's only like a 4 or 5 games left. So if you guys aren't really starting to dive into college basketball, start looking at which teams are good, which teams suck, tournament teams, you're running out of time. And we're going to try to help you guys, but you're running out of time. So you're going to have to do some research on your own, because some of these teams have 3 games left, and then we get into conference tournaments. So we're really wrapping up. March is what, 7-8 days away. I don't know if I think this is actually a leap year, but a couple of days away from March, and then we're in business. But yeah, it's winding down. So make sure you are tuning into college basketball and getting technical while you're at it.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast the season flew by. I was actually just looking at Michigan State's schedule, and I was scrolling back to all the games, thinking back to when I went to the home opener. I was like, holy shit, I felt like we had so many games here. Now I'm like, where did the season go? So yeah, it's crazy. We're going to have conference tournaments here before we know it. March is going to be here, and snap the fingers, it's going to be baseball season. So fuck us. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it for kind of a special Wednesday edition of Getting Technical. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Hopefully we'll cash those Tuesday tickets for you, to be determined. Those games are probably right around halftime at this point of filming. Be sure to keep your eyes out for a 5-minute wager episode. Should be coming out on Thursday for Thursday night's hockey slate. Should have another Tapping Vegas video coming out this weekend as well for the UFC card. And then we'll be going live probably Saturday morning again, Wyatt, to talk more college basketball. Loaded slate of college basketball on Saturday. So looking forward to doing that. We'll be back next Monday for a live. And then, guys, as always, be sure to check out bettergreen.com, where we have our articles coming out there. Head over to Sharps. Use our code BET269, bet with 2 T's, BETT269. Join the Sharps community. Follow us over there. Just a really great sports betting community to be a part of. We've really enjoyed our time there. And other than that, guys, good luck with your bets, and we will see you on Saturday.
You better start listening to the Better and Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better and Green.